Mate, Will Perry, we're live around the world. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, mate. You've blown up in the last few days. What's going on in your life?
Unfortunately, I've blown up for the wrong reasons. It's it's a campaign. It's creating awareness. I'm on a mission to eradicate abuse for people with autism, not just in the UK but everywhere. I've got such a big task in my hands, but it's things like this. It's the media is really helping. It's a fantastic time though at the moment. I've gotten around everywhere. I hope change is starting to occur. But yeah, it's been an absolute whirlwind. I've never been so busy in my entire life. Normally, I'm a full-time swimmer, so I have the entire day free. I'm twiddling my fingers, but at the moment I haven't got a spare 2 minutes. It's unbelievable.
We just talked about this. You're famous now, so you got to get, headphones. You got to get a microphone, all that sort of stuff.
I apologize. I've cheaped out on my basically have a studio and everything, but no, I'm using my laptop. It's got a microphone and it's got a camera somewhere there.
Ah, mate, you're perfect. Now, listen, before we get into that, that stuff, I do want to talk about it because that's the cause that you're championing right now, and I'm glad we could give you a little bit of a platform, small as it is, but listen, mate, we're a swimming channel, and you're a swimmer, so talk to us about your swimming skills. I mean, you're a Paralympian, but before that, you started off just like everybody else. How'd you get into swimming?
So I started off, and it all relates into dwarfism. With my certain condition, which I'm sure we'll get into later, you get a weakened spine, so I can't play rugby, football, or any of contact sports that we conventionally played at school.
Right.
So I'd end up twiddling my fingers around each day, not doing much. And the head of sport at my school actually said, you know what, I'm sick and tired of you just wandering around doing bugger all. So can you go to the pool on a Thursday afternoon? So I was like, all right, okay, just give it a go. I know how to swim.
How old were you at this stage?
I was 15, so
15. Oh, okay.
I'm pretty young. I'm a pretty late swimmer. So yeah, I was 15, and I go in the pool, did a couple of lengths, and the coach at that point got me out. He said, "You know what? I'm going to work with you. I'm going to get you to nationals next year," which was when next year was in the next calendar year, so less than a year away in terms of the season. And he did it.
Who's the name of the coach?
Someone called Stuart Cowie.
Stuart, good for you, mate. Look at that, eh? Starting a career.
Yeah, he's now at Corby, I think. But it's great. I've managed to keep in touch with him. He's a lovely guy.
Great.
So yeah, and then it went from there really. I trialed out at a swimming school called Mount Kelly for a year, but I wasn't that academic, so I ended up leaving. Just to focus on the swimming, and I joined the legend that is Northampton Swimming Club. We're very well known in the para swimming world. We had 4 on the Paralympic team to Tokyo this year. And yeah, it's all kicked off from there. But in terms of going to the Paralympics, it all starts off this year. We're in lockdown. It was February, March, and I got a call. I was, sitting at home doing the Zoom sessions like everyone else does. They said, "Well, we might need you to come back to the pool like next week. We might need you for a relay." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I came back and they said, "Right, you've got 3 weeks to train for the Paralympic trials, and you've got to swim a 53 PB." Bear in mind, I hadn't PB'd in about 2 years, and I did it. In 3 weeks training, we had 1 week getting back in the pool, 1 week of hard training, 1 week of taper, and I managed to do a 53 PB. And they said, right, okay, we're going to take you to Europeans to get internationally classified. So that's what you have to do in para swimming. You have to get an international classification, so you're recognised by World Para Swimming. And they took me to Europeans. I made 2 finals on my international debut. And then 2 days after we got back from Europeans, I got the call saying I was going to Tokyo. Wow. On the relay team. So, yeah, there we go. It was a very, very quick from national swim to Paralympian within a few months. It was unbelievable.
Wow, that's extraordinary, mate. How old are you now?
I'm 21.
21. Okay.
So I've only been swimming for 6 years.
Oh wow, that's incredible. Hey, talk to me about your training then. What does that consist of now? As a professional swimmer.
We have a gruesome training routine. I'm sore as it is now,
Mm-hmm.
and we're only on Wednesday. So we have I do 8 sessions a week in the pool.
Wow.
About 2 to 2.5 hours long. Then I do 3 2-hour gym sessions a week as well, and then physio and recovery. So everything added up is about 24 hours in a week.
Wow.
But some of them involve early mornings. So tomorrow morning I'm up at 3:50 a.m.
350. What for? What are you doing?
I've got we don't have a long course pool, so the nearest one is 40 minutes away, and to get some long course meters in, you have to drive about 40 minutes to a pool. So we have to be awake and everything. So it is a 3:50 wake up. Tuesday's not so bad. It's only 4 a.m. Wake up and be in at 5. Because I live by myself, I have to drive. I have to be awake when I'm driving, obviously.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a very gruesome regime, but it's very, very successful.
Who's your coach now?
My coach is Andy Sharp. He took over my coaching role in September. So Andy Sharp coached Ellie Robinson to Paralympic gold and bronze in Rio. Right. And he's also assisted with everyone coming into Tokyo last year. But before that, for 3 years, I had Jackie Marshall, who now works in British Swimming. And she is the one really responsible for getting all of us to Tokyo this year and performing the way we did, in which, 7 like world records, gold medals, finals, that sort of thing. So Jackie and Andy, really.
Do you train with only other Paralympians, or do you train in a mixed team?
We train in a normal squad. So Northampton, I'm the oldest now. We've just, each year when you get uni moving around, people move out, go to uni, that sort of thing. So up until recently, Ed Mildred, who is an ISL swimmer, was a Northampton swimmer, born and bred Northampton. So we are currently in our squad. There's 4 para swimmers, and there's 16 normal swimmers. So we have to fit in around them. Our sets are adapted, timings adapted, etc. But we're very, very inclusive in terms of, how the club operates, who's, how we fit the para swimmers around, how we get the able-bodied lot in. So I think as a swimming club, we're the most successful in the country as in a para swimming program. And we're pretty decent as well in the normal swimming program. We're very medley based. So 400 medley, we base a lot of training around that. So we can be pretty flexible in the events that we compete in.
Wow. So that sounds like so much work. 24 hours of training every week. That's intense, mate. It must be difficult then to kind of hold down any jobs or even go to uni full time, things like that. So are you funded by British Swimming?
I'm funded. Yeah, I'm very privileged to be funded by British Swimming, and it's through the National Lottery. It's the National Lottery, that funds us. Right. So any opportunity, I say thank you. So thank you, National Lottery, for funding me and everyone else on the team. So yeah, I'm in a privileged place where I can relax during the day. I can, at the moment, work on this campaign on my awareness. But there are some swimmers. So Maisie Summers-Newton, she's doing as much work as I am, but she's training to be a primary school teacher. I couldn't do that. She's at uni. She's doing assignments. She's doing a great job. I couldn't do that. I have to come back and have a nap. We'll play a bit of Xbox or just unwind during the day, and then we go back to the pool and blast up and down the pool again for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, well, that's intense. So the goal, I guess, is Paris 24.
Yeah, naturally. Obviously, I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this for. I would love to make an individual final. It's in para swimming, you can have very easy categories to compete in. You can have very difficult ones.
Yeah, tell me about the category that you're in. Like, how did you get put in there? What is it?
So I'm an S6, which is about just under halfway down. It goes from 14, which is the least severe, to 1, which is a pretty severe disability. There's most conditions go. There's some that's still excluded. I'm not going to go into the politics in that because I'm going to get in trouble. As well as why some categories are more difficult than the others. Mine is just a more tricky category to compete in. But there's so many, and it's Yeah, it's obviously got men and women as well. So there's lots of different races that you can see. And sometimes when you're watching para swimming and racing, someone who touches the wall first might actually come last because we're all measured on points. We very, very rarely have a full heat of, let's say, S6 men or S12 women. It's very, very rare that occurs. So often we race each other. It's not really racing. A lot of the time it's just like swimming against ourselves, because some people will shoot right off, some people will drop right behind, but they'll still beat you. They might even get a world record. You could be 30 seconds quicker than them. So, but yeah, naturally the aim is Paris. Like this year, I would love to qualify for the Commonwealth Games and the World Championships. Qualifying window is coming up soon, so we're working really, really hard for that. But you know, I can only keep my fingers crossed and race as hard as I can. Otherwise, you know, I won't make it. It's simple as that. But I have faith in the work that we're doing, and fingers crossed, I can qualify. It'll be my first time qualifying, because I'm still in the aspect of it. I'm still quite young in terms of being an international athlete. I'm new to international swimming still, so I'm still learning.
Do you look at yourself as having a disability? Do you look at yourself as like, there's things I can't do? Or in your mind, are you open to the idea of I can do whatever I want to do?
So I never knock things until I try it. What we're going to talk about later in terms of my disability and you know, the awareness I'm raising, sometimes it makes me question myself. I'm thinking, actually, you know, if this is how some of the public are viewing me, how should I view myself? But I've been brought up in a way where, you know, nothing really holds me back. You know, nothing. Obviously, things like light switches, they were lowered in a way that I could reach them still. They weren't lowered to my height, but I could reach them like up there. I can still operate them. But I would always try it. I remember at school, I used to do cross country. I didn't have to do it, but I did it to prove a point. You know, cross country runs, everyone would do everything to get out of it. You know, fake an injury, say they're ill, or something like that. I used to rock up and just do it for the hell of it, just to prove I could do things.
That's interesting. So your mentality has always been kind of like that, of like, how is it based for you? Is it like, I'm going to prove you wrong, I'm going to prove something to myself, I want to, you know, I want to show my family and friends? Like, where's the mentality for you?
See, I know I can do it, or I know I can't do it. It's simple as that.
Right.
You know, it's stuff down to touch typing. You know, with short fingers, I had to, you know, touch typing, learning it is difficult anyway. I couldn't do it because my fingers can't reach that far. So I had to learn by just having my hands hovering above the keyboard. Stuff like that. I knew I could do it. I was told I couldn't, but I can. Stuff like, you know, I was told I couldn't complete the cross country. I beat half the school. I beat what? The school, there was like 800 people there, and I beat about 500, I think.
That's awesome.
What else? You know, riding a bike, all getting certain types of jobs, obviously doing this in swimming. I'm, you know, put down so many times, or what I can do, and it's my favorite thing, proving them and actually doing it pretty damn well. That's my favorite thing. But no, I never hold myself back unless I know, okay, that's an utterly stupid thing to do. Obviously that's not going to work. You know, it's common sense sometimes. But if it's not, you know, if there's a small chance I can do something, I will try. And, you know, if I fail, who cares? But if I do it, then, ooh, there you go.
What's something that you've been proud of yourself other than the cross country thing? I mean, you know, when you kind of pat yourself on the back of like, hey, you proved everybody wrong there. Like, what's something you feel real proud about?
Cross country, I felt real proud about. Being told I wasn't going to make it in swimming. You know, many people said, "Oh, you know, this is just a pastime. It's just a hobby." You know, that sort of thing. I didn't have a particularly fun time at school. I won't mention the name of it, but I didn't have the best time there. I know I got bullied. I got, you know, didn't have many friends, and a lot of them would say, "Oh yeah, you know, you're not as good as you say you are," or something like that. And at that point, I wasn't very good. And now, you know, I'm bigger than any of these people. You know, I see them. They're following me. They're watching what I'm doing.
Yep.
I don't give two stuffs about them. The people who push me down, that is, I could give. You know, I love everyone who, you know, takes an interest in my career, but not the people who bullied me. And it's makes me so happy, you know, thinking I proved them wrong. I have become someone, I've become someone of interest, and it's all my work. It's everything I did because I wanted to stick with swimming. I dropped out of school to stick with swimming, and I think that sort of thing, just proving everyone wrong, it makes me feel so happy.
Well, listen, you don't have to have a disability necessarily to think like that or go through that. That's kind of like, that could be the cry for anybody in life, but you've obviously suffered, through, like you said, people picking on you throughout your life, which has then helped you focus in on being the best athlete you can be. And congrats on that, mate. But talk to me about Tokyo then. Tell me about that experience.
Tokyo is just a celebration of, differences. Yep. There's actually been no place where I felt more, able-bodied.
Yep.
I've got 2 hands. I've got 2 feet. I can speak. I can see. I can hear. I feel more able-bodied than I've ever done in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you feel so lucky. But wow, what a fantastic experience. I've never competed internationally where there's been crowds, so I'm used to it. It's not really... unless you win a medal there, then I think that's when it deducts from the experience. The cheering.
Yeah.
You've got your family there if you win a medal. But if you come last, it doesn't make 2 differences. It's just still an amazing experience. Wandering around the village, seeing. I remember, I think I spotted this world's 2nd tallest man. Who's on the Iranian team who played sitting volleyball. I saw, I recognize him, I recognize her. Oh wow, that she's there. That's unbelievable. The other cool one was obviously you're sitting watching the Olympics at home, and then you're thinking in 3 weeks, 4 weeks time, I'm going to be there right where they are. That's a mind blowing thing, and to be competing on the biggest sporting stage in the world, it's nothing short of an honor, really.
Yeah,
representing Great Britain, having Great Britain on your t-shirt, on the flag on your back, on your hat, your race suit, that sort of thing. There's no bigger honor, and it's an honor for everyone, whether the most famous person in the world or a nobody. It's a huge honor. It's just an experience I could never put into words. It's just it makes me sad every time I think about it, because I would pay everything just to relive it again. It's such a fantastic time.
It's a high, isn't it? Yeah, it's a high. I represented Brazil at an Olympics, and
really
at 2 Olympics actually. And so I'm not even Brazilian, but I'm proud to wear this. I'm Australian, so that's my flag back there. I was in 2000 Olympics, but I went to a couple of Olympics representing a couple of different countries, and mate, it is a proud moment for all athletes. So I can definitely connect with what you're saying there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about in terms of your improvement? You talk about the personal improvement, and the time matters for you in terms of where you place and stuff. So how do you make improvements? How do you judge that?
So I use lockdown firstly as a reevaluation. I completely reevaluated myself as an athlete, down to my strength and conditioning, to my recovery, to how I approach my training in the pool. Everything changed. And it made a huge difference. Obviously I sometimes slip up. I can sometimes have a bad diet, which I've corrected. I like paying attention to detail. What these small little things will make a difference. I paid watching other sports as well. One of my sporting heroes was Ayrton Senna, and he was famed for having that attention to detail, and that's why everyone else said he was so successful. And I thought, if I have a mindset like that, really pay attention to the bits that other people aren't paying attention to, like my rivals, then that's another way I can get 0.1 of a second off my time or whatever. So I'm still learning, and I'm always learning. Everyone's always learning, but definitely paying attention to details is the way I improve, the really small things. And I really try to take note on what happened in racing. Sometimes I can overthink it, but the attention to detail for me is the key thing.
Great advice, mate. And you just mentioned overthinking there. What is that for you? Do you get nervous before you race, like everybody else, I guess?
I don't get nervous,
no,
but I overthink.
What do you mean by that? What are you thinking?
What if it's not like, oh my God, I'm so scared or something like that. I'm thinking, what if I slip the water? What if I accidentally do a one-handed touch? What if I jump the gun? It's stuff like that, and it never happens.
So you're thinking negative things a lot?
Yes. Like
Right.
thinking everything negative, and it's sort of like, you know, flushing it out, but it's not a good thing. I'm trying to.
Have you had a chance to work with a sports psychologist or
Yeah,
anything like that? Yep.
I've definitely improved.
Yep.
As you said, every issue I want to fix, and it's something I've definitely wanted to fix, and it's really helped.
Yeah.
It's definitely been solved. But no, the only time I was nervous at the Paralympics was just before the first race, in between when I got on the blocks. Then I was a bit nervous. Then it said, take your marks. And then it was like, it just sounded so familiar. I thought, oh yeah, I'm fine. It's like racing back in Corby. It's,
Right.
you know, it's very familiar. Yeah, I'm not worried.
Yeah. Well, good for you, mate. Sounds like you're on a great path, a great track. You're making something of your life, which is outstanding. I mean, you've already made it in terms of being a Paralympian, but wouldn't it be special to be a two-time Paralympian and maybe a finalist and all that? But listen, you're doing fantastic work. But coming back to this cause that you're talking about, I do want to give you a chance to talk about it, because obviously you're championing this thing of going out there and speaking publicly and being open and honest about your own experiences and feelings. So I want to give you a platform here to kind of talk about it, mate. So what's going on?
Oh, I really appreciate it. Every platform helps. So with dwarfism, you can be subjected to a lot of public abuse. We're depicted in movies like Wolf of Wall Street, Elf, that sort of thing, as mystical or comical characters. You know, we're taking the piss out of, we're used as objects. And I think, because we're not that common, my condition is only 1 in 25,000 births. I think that's where most of the public gets exposure of people like myself. So that's the way, oh, wow. Then they see someone like us, think, oh, wow, people like them actually exist. They must be absolutely hilarious. Let's go make a funny comment. Like, they always think they're so smart ass when they say something funny. They think, oh, yeah, they're original. We've not heard it before. I've heard it my entire life. And up until recently, I've taken it on the shoulder, thinking, oh, you know, I was brought up to just ignore it. You know, it's unjustified, but, you know, there's nothing you can do about it. Just ignore it. And until recently, where I made a post on Instagram, which went a bit viral. The swimming community really came together. They, you know, they shared it, and it went to new heights. It was unbelievable. But I'm sick to death of it. As I said on the BBC News and Sky and all that sort of thing, it's time to stop. And I feel like as a Paralympian, I'm one of the very few people with disabilities that actually has a platform to speak, a platform to reach out and help other people who don't have a platform like I do. Yeah. You know, we're used as role models. Look at Ali Simmons. You know, she's one of the biggest role models in the world for people that have autism. And I want to be an advocate for it too. I'd love to be remembered because, you know, if I'm not going to win a medal, the next best thing is being remembered as an advocate for your disability. Right. So, you know, oh, remember Will. He really fought for everyone to be treated equally as, you know, people with dwarfism, for them not to be laughed at anymore. And he tried really hard, and he got other people on board. That's my aim, is to get as many people on board with this, to get it as much exposure as possible. Yeah. It's done phenomenally well at the moment, but I want to do even more. I want to go push it as far as I possibly can without being annoying. I want to create a campaign. I'm hoping to go on more news stations. I'm hoping to get fellow Paralympians together so we can really get behind this and let the nation hear what we're trying to say, and hopefully even the world. So I've had messages from parents across the planet talking about their kids with dwarfism. They're terrified, genuinely terrified, like, oh, I'm really worried about how my son or my daughter is going to be treated in later life when she's about 10 or 12. And at the moment, I can only say I can only apologize. Yeah, it's going to happen. I'm sorry. Yeah. But it's so reassuring to say, look, I know it's going to happen, but I'm fighting for it not to happen. I'm really, really campaigning for it. Yeah. So every little bit of exposure, that's why I'm saying yes to every podcast at the moment. I'm saying yes to every news request. Yeah. Every politician talking to me. Trying to encourage others as well to share their story, because the more it shocks people, the more we can do something about it. But it's a huge, huge thing. I get photographed, I've been filmed, I've been laughed at, stared at, pointed at. The list goes on. We can have unique, incidents where I could be shouted at, called derogatory names. The list is endless, and I'm just sick to death.
Well, listen, mate. Bottom line is, there's a bunch of ignorant assholes in the world. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But, you're a Paralympian. You've done some amazing things there. But in terms of like this, I think this is, like you said, this could be your proudest cause in terms of, representing people like you said, and trying to change the stigma of what people think about you and how they look at you and how they receive you. And mate, just listening to your story, just a normal dude, like you like everybody else. You work hard, you're successful. It's like, God, Jim, and like, you're impressive, very impressive. So
Thank you.
I love it, mate. How do your parents feel about this? I mean, obviously, you've had this experience growing up, and they've had their own separate experience. Do they talk to you about some of the things that they've had to deal with?
So my parents don't have dwarfism. 80% of my parents, 80% of people with dwarfism don't have parents with dwarfism.
Right.
But obviously they've had experiences when they're wandering around.
Yep.
Before I've been able to realize.
Yep.
They've had people laughing, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I think they're just really pleased that I can make a difference. Obviously, I wouldn't call my dwarfism a blessing. No, I wouldn't do that. Some people say they would. That's how God chose them. Unfortunately, I'm not religious, so I don't fall under that. But they're just encouraging me to do as much as I possibly can. There's only so much obviously one can do, but obviously as you get more and more people in, then hopefully it becomes a bigger program. It's not just me. I'm not saying it's just me at the moment, but to create a campaign where you've got people like me speaking out all across the country, but hopefully even the world. I'm just pushing the snowball at the moment, but I hope other people will help and it will start to build up. But yeah, they're super proud, I hope.
Yeah, I'm sure they are, mate. Of course they are. Other than the swimming, where do you want to go in your life? Like, what do you want to do? Do you see a future for yourself? Are you aiming towards something other than swimming?
Yeah. So I love motorsport. I love cars.
Wow.
I'm a massive petrol head, and I used to work in Formula One until until COVID came along and I lost my job. Out of financial caution.
Yep.
But I've stayed in very good contact with them. They ended up having a really good financial year, and they've offered me sponsorship at competitions. We get on very well. So once I finish swimming, I'm definitely going back into motorsport. I live very near Silverstone, which is the home of British motorsport, possibly even European. So that's my life. I'd love to be a mechanic, a race car mechanic, or I used to make parts out of carbon fiber for certain teams. I can't say which teams, so I signed an NDA, but they're prominent teams in F1. It's just my life outside of swimming. I absolutely adore it. It's all I do outside of swimming.
Wow, good for you, mate. Have you had a chance to meet Lewis Hamilton?
I haven't met Lewis Hamilton, no. I've not met any drivers yet because I worked in a contracting company. So we supplied parts to the company that, provided certain drivers with a car. I've not even been to an F1 race yet because I don't have the money to. They're so expensive. They're really expensive. They're £700-800 if you want to go.
Mate, I used to live in Melbourne, and I was about 3 blocks from the track where my house was.
Yeah.
And they used to just drive around the track, and it felt like the Formula One drivers were driving through my living room. Like, it was so close.
Very loud.
I mean, it's a great sport, mate. It's epic.
It's fantastic. And it's it's a sport also where they're pushing the limits. I like pushing the limits. I like seeing how good you can be and seeing other people do that, but on a multi-million-pound level. It's just fascinating to see. And, you've got the pressure. It's so relatable. Obviously, it's a completely different sport. Like, there's nothing that's the same as swimming. But the pressure's there. The expectations are there. But the performance is there as well.
Could we ever see someone with your disability in Formula One, you think?
No.
Is that a possibility?
I doubt it. Because when you're young, obviously, in Formula One, you've got to be karting very, very young. And we can't reach the pedals. So unless someone exceptional. Now, if you think of how many thousands of drivers do karting, and sort of filters, it's like a pyramid. All the karters, then the Formula Series and Formula 3, 2, 1, etc. You know, even if they get one person with dwarfism, he's got to be talented enough to beat all those thousands. So physically, it's possible, I'd say, but will it happen? Probably not.
You drive though. How do you drive now?
So I've got I use a car company called Jim Doran Hand Controls, and they give me seat cushions, pedals. It can all be taken out within a minute or so, so it's fully adjustable.
Okay.
But I can drive a car as normal as anyone else can. It's the biggest blessing I've got, just to have that freedom. I've got a strap on the boot that I can pull down. It's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, good for you, mate. I appreciate you taking the time to be on us live today around the world. This is live right now, but we'll also reproduce this and send it out, and people can click on it and watch it again. So your story is amazing, mate. Inspirational. Sound like a really good dude, someone I'd want to hang out with. So, Will, I appreciate your time today, mate.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a real honor.
Yep, absolutely. Good luck in Paris too. We'll be cheering for you.
Fingers crossed. Thank you.
All right. Cheers, mate. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.